Welcome to Technology Integration for PA Educators. Introduction to Technology Integration, Part 1. The focus of this module is the growth of technology in education. In this module, we will cover distance education growth in higher education within the United States, distance education growth in Utah State, distance education growth in PA education, the benefits and challenges that we're seeing and what changes are occurring in the classroom because of the technology, and the importance of adapting to technology in the classroom. After the completion of this module, learners will be able to discuss the growth trends of technology in education within the country, state, and PA programs specifically. Before we begin, let's look at some terminology you will hear as you progress through this module. The first is distance education. Distance education is defined as education that uses one or more technologies to deliver instruction to students who are separated from the instructor and to support regular and substantive interaction between the students and the instructor synchronously or asynchronously. This is done using various technologies, including the ones that you see in our classroom. The next is IVC, which stands for Instructional Video Collaboration. This is two-way video and audio communication supported by a computer that facilitates the interaction between people in two or more locations, creating a virtual classroom or conference room. Educational technology has changed a lot over the years, and it continues to grow. To give you an idea of how much it has changed, let's take a stroll down memory lane. In 1933, just 52% of schools were using silent films, and only 3% of those had sound. In 1939, the first TV appeared in the classroom. In 1972, Scantrons began to be used to auto-grade tests. In 1984, Apple Macintosh computer was introduced to the classroom. In 2012, 1.5 million iPads were used in U.S. schools. The addition of internet and technology to all classrooms and universities has opened up many doors for distance education. Let's take a look at how distance education and technology use in the classroom has grown in the United States. Studies continue to develop and data continues to be collected to understand how technology has evolved and will continue to evolve over the years in higher education. This graph shows the percentage of students that were taking distant courses from 2012 to 2015 in the United States. It represents students that were taking exclusively distant and some distant courses. The study that provided this data also looked at student enrollment. Over the years of 2012 to 2015, it was found that overall higher education enrollments were down. There were 20,928,443 total students in the fall of 2012 at all levels enrolled across all degree-granting institutions. 3 years later, in the fall of 2015, this number had decreased to 20,266,367 students. If you look at this graph, you will see that distance education continues to grow as the years have gone by, while enrollment in higher education institutions has seen a decrease. The next graph represents the number of students taking distance courses by the education level they are in, be that undergraduate or graduate. Again, showing that though enrollment is down, there is an increase in the numbers of students taking distance courses over the last 4-year period. Now let's take a look at the growth of distance education in the state of Utah. To give you an idea of how technology is impacting the state of Utah higher education offerings, I have provided this graph from data collected by UEN. This is the growth that UEN has experienced. These are the number of IVC events or connections that have happened every year between 2011 and 2019. This graph shows a steady increase in the use of IVC across the state, with a small dip in 2016, but a steady increase in the years following. This graph allows us to visualize the growth that the state of Utah is experiencing when it comes to IVC, distance education, and technology in education. We have talked about the United States and the growth in the state of Utah when it comes to educational technology in higher education, but let's take a look at the PA profession and our PA program specifically. According to data from PAEA's Programs Report, over the last 4 years, there has been an increase in the number of programs with distant sites. In 2013, there were 10 sites, and in 2017, there were 17 sites. This is consistent with the idea that technology is growing. It's growing in our country, it's growing in our state, and it's growing in PA education. Even the University of Utah PA program is contributing to the growth with the addition of St. George. We began St. George in the summer of 2018 and have planned to increase the number of students that are at our satellite campus until 2021. Even after the increase in number ends, the number of students receiving distance education will be set at 68 each year following, and we must account for that in our teaching. Let's talk about why we use technology in education and the benefits. The first benefit is that it increases the capacity of institutions. This allows the university to reach many more students. The second benefit is that it increases access for working students in rural areas. This allows more rural students to reap the benefits of going to college by expanding those colleges beyond a physical site and into those communities. Third benefit is that it improves instructor-student interaction. With distance education, the instructor and the student need to interact intentionally, be this through email, discussion questions, or in-class activities. The fourth benefit is research-enriched data. Technology can allow for additional and oftentimes required ways of collecting data, which allows higher education institutions to constantly be evaluating programs and courses that will improve all aspects of education. We've talked about the benefits, now let's talk about the challenges of technology in higher education. One of the biggest challenges is that it requires digital literacy. This means that students and faculty need to understand and be confident using various types of technology. Oftentimes, this can be very intimidating. The second challenge is that it can increase the cost. Running technology can be expensive. For the PA program at the University of Utah, we were provided funds to bring on the St. George campus. However, that program still requires additional cost and funding because of the cost of the technology in the classroom. The third challenge is tracking technology use and maintaining and updating it. Technology does not last forever. It wears out, but it's also constantly changing, as we have seen, and that can be difficult and expensive to maintain. It's also important to maintain and update to ensure the best experience for the students, and that can be hard. This is a question I get asked a lot. Why is it important to adapt technology in the classroom? Let's take a look at a few reasons why it's important for our instructors to adapt technology in the classroom. There are two main reasons why it's important for our PA instructors to integrate and adapt technology in the classroom. The first is our students. As educational technology changes and distance education becomes more and more prevalent, it's important for our instructors to embrace the technology to ensure our students are getting the best educational experience possible. The second reason is it's in our strategic plan. The PA strategic plan looks to ensure that equity for students, faculty, and staff across both campuses. For students, this means instruction utilizes the technology that's available to them, such as Ink2Go or a document camera, in the classroom to enhance the experience for the distance site students. As a distance site student, you're basically watching television all day. So the more that you are able to engage with your instructor and your distance site students, the better. The next few slides are just a few nuggets that I want you to take with you on your journey through this technology training. The first is a quote that I found that I felt was very relevant. In distance education settings where learners are not in close physical proximity to the instructors and where technology mediates the learning experience, there is a stronger need for the construction of technology-supported learning environments. Keep this in mind as you move through these modules. Also remember the role of technology in distance education. Technology is the vehicle, it's not the destination. Rather than simply presenting content, it must be purposeful and strategically engage the learner. We'll work through a little bit more of these as our modules progress. And our final quote. When distance education grows, the technology that is used to teach also grows. Instructors need to understand how to use and implement these technologies successfully. The next 4 modules are going to cover things such as learning theories and various technologies that you can use in your classes and how to use those, really getting in depth with how you can actually use those to engage your students.